Have you ever felt trapped by the expectations of others, living a life that isn't truly your own? What if breaking free from that cage, even if it means risking everything, is the only way to truly find yourself? This story will make you question the boundaries you accept and inspire you to forge your own path. Nora's Unlocked Door. Nora Helmer lived a life meticulously crafted by societal expectation and the seemingly benevolent hand of her husband, Torvald. Her home, a charming, well-appointed space, was a gilded cage, and she, its cherished songbird. Torvald, a man of rigid principles and a deep-seated need for control, treated her as a delightful plaything, his little skylark, his squirrel. He showered her with pet names, small sums of money for frivolous purchases, and a constant stream of paternalistic affection that, over time, began to feel stifling rather than loving. Nora, outwardly vivacious and childlike, played her role perfectly, fluttering about, laughing at his jokes, and carefully concealing the deep anxieties that gnawed at her beneath the surface. She was a master of appearances, a diligent actress in her own domestic drama. Her secret, a desperate loan she had taken years ago to save Torvald's life during a severe illness, was a heavy burden, a ticking time bomb threatening to shatter her carefully constructed facade. She had forged her dying father's signature to secure the money, an act of love and desperation that, in her innocent mind, was justifiable. The weight of this secret, meticulously kept hidden from Torvald, whom she knew would condemn her actions as a transgression against his honor, was a constant, suffocating presence. She worked tirelessly in secret, taking on small, illicit jobs to repay the debt, spending her nights meticulously copying documents, her hands cramping, her eyes straining in the dim light. This clandestine labor was a stark contrast to her public persona of carefree domesticity. It was in these stolen hours, bent over her ledger, that Nora first began to experience a flicker of independence, a quiet assertion of her own capabilities beyond her role as wife and mother. Yet, the fear of exposure was paralyzing. Krogstab, the man to whom she owed the money, a disgraced lawyer, held her secret as leverage, demanding that she use her influence with Torvald, who was about to become a bank director, to secure him a position. His threats tightened the noose around her neck, forcing her to confront the moral quicksand she found herself in. As Krogstad's demands grew more insistent and the threat of exposure loomed larger, Nora found herself caught in a psychological torment. She pleaded, she rationalized, she even contemplated drastic measures, all while maintaining her cheerful facade for Torvald, who remained blissfully ignorant, wrapped in his self-righteous convictions. She sought solace in her old friend Christine Lind, who had known hardship and independence. Christine, though initially shocked by Nora's secret, offered a perspective born of real-world struggle, a stark contrast to Torvald's sheltered morality. Nora, for the first time, truly saw the vast chasm between her husband's rigid moral code and the messy realities of life, love, and sacrifice. The miracle, as Nora had come to call it in her own mind, was the desperate hope that Torvald, upon learning her secret, would rise to the occasion, understand her sacrifice, and shield her from the consequences, proving his unconditional love. This was her last fragile hope for their relationship, a test of his true character. The moment of truth arrived with Krogstad's letter, exposing Nora's forgery. Torvald's reaction was a catastrophic blow, shattering her last illusions. Instead of the understanding and protection she had desperately hoped for, he reacted with explosive rage, not for her, but for himself, for the scandal that threatened his reputation, his career, his honor. He called her a criminal, declared her unfit to raise their children, and condemned her past actions with righteous indignation that pierced her to the very core. His words, sharp as shards of ice, revealed the true nature of their relationship. She was a possession, a reflection of his status, not an equal partner. The miracle did not happen. Instead, a devastating truth was laid bare. When a second letter arrived, revealing Krogstad had decided not to expose them, Torvald's relief was immediate and total. He instantly forgave her, declaring the frightful thing was over, and he could once again treat her as his beloved, if slightly foolish, little songbird. But for Nora, something fundamental had shifted. The relief was fleeting, eclipsed by a profound, chilling realization. She saw Torvald, and by extension herself, with stark, unblinking clarity. She saw that she had spent her entire life living according to the rules and expectations of men, first her father, then Torvald. She had been a doll in a doll's house, playing a role, never truly knowing herself or her own desires. The miracle she had longed for was not Torvald's forgiveness, but her own awakening. In a calm, resolute voice that belied the emotional earthquake within her, Nora confronted Torvald. She explained that she needed to leave, not out of malice, but out of necessity. She had to discover who Nora was, independent of her roles as wife and mother. She had to learn about the world, about right and wrong, and about herself. It was a terrifying, exhilarating step into the unknown. She left her children, her comfortable home, and her bewildered husband, walking out into the cold, dark night, a resounding door slam echoing behind her. That sound was not just the closing of a physical door, it was the definitive sound of a woman breaking free, reclaiming her agency, and beginning the arduous, necessary journey of self-discovery. Stepping into a world where she would define her own values and build her own truth. It was the moment Nora unlocked her own door.